What is going on? This is AlTone and welcome to another fantastic video. So, you know what? The Flerken. Today, I'm not going to show a maiden flight of the Flerken as of yet, but what I am going to do is just tell you a little bit about the build and some of the challenges. Now, the Flerken, and this is the Boomin Flerken, and she's got pretty much everything done. The receiver's in and basically bound and set up to my Radio Master radio. However, I do need to make some modifications and do some tuning to the receiver. I've got this guy pretty much complete and set up. The build went very well. I really took my time. It took me about 3 days to complete it. 3 days working on and off, more like 4 or 5, I don't know, somewhere in there. I was actually working on it for about a good week, but a couple of hours here or there to get it finished up. And I'll say the build experience was pretty good. It was pretty good, with a couple of exceptions, and I'll share those exceptions with you now. First of all, the kit came with some damage. Now, like I said, I ordered the kit only. I did not order the electronics. I actually purchased my own electronics, which I'll try to make sure I drop a link down in the description where you can find the actual electronics that I used in this plane. However, or in the Flerken. However, and of course I ordered a t-shirt, but I used my own electronics. We have metal geared servos for your control surfaces, front and rear. And I actually have my motor and ESC set up right here, which I've been doing some testing with my motors. And I'll talk about that in just a second. And then, everything else went well. Now, the plane came with a little bit of damage. The box somehow was crushed on one side. So you'll see that my foam is actually crinkled on the top side of this wing. And it just happened to be that spot in the box where that problem took place, where it hit. And if you look in the bottom of this wing, you have a crinkle here as well, which is the exact same spot where that took place on the wing. There was a couple of other places based on where the box was actually crushed that were also affected, but not as much as these two areas. And this actually it was sandwiched when I glued the wing together. I actually put a small piece of foam in there and glued it in place to give that a little bit more strength. It may have added just a tad bit of weight to that side as well. When I was actually doing my bevel cuts, I actually cut into the paper on this side, so there's some tape here. And one of the other things that I had happened was when I made this fold over, I did not have it lifted enough on each side, so the wing and this little piece here that meets the wing, they're not actually flush. So I'll put some tape over top of that, and hopefully I'll be painting over it, and it's not going to be as noticeable, and hopefully it will not affect how this guy flies at all. Of course, I have my servo wires coming out for my motor and ESC, which will slide back into here, and of course my motor, servo for this side my servo for my elevator is actually in this side at the bottom. I do have the wheels installed now and ready to go. They do not roll freely. That's one of the other things. You're going to have to carve out a little bit once that little opening for your wheel to sit into, but it's okay because they don't need to. My front one rolls freely, but they don't really need to roll freely. They just need to be able to roll. If I can do this, then it won't have any problems in the landing and takeoff, but that will keep it hopefully from rattling too much in the air while it's flying. I chose to use this nose because I'm most likely going to just put Velcro on the front here, and I'll put my Insta360 Go 2 on the front of this plane as I'm flying it. At some point in the future, I may decide that I do want to put a FPV system on this plane. If I do, then I'll pop those out. Until then, I won't worry about it. And it's primarily because I don't usually fly with a spotter, so I don't fly FPV. However, I may decide to use a screen because I'm pretty much thinking that if I'm going to do FPV from this point going forward, I'm most likely going to go walk snail, and I'm most likely going to buy the receiver, the video receiver, essentially, that I can connect to a monitor, so I can fly from the monitor instead of having goggles on. That way I don't need a spotter to fly FPV. That's the way I'm going to work around that. I don't know if any of you have tried it or not, but if you have, drop down in the comments, let me know. But that's the route that I plan on taking. Everything else about this build was pretty easy. It's not a whole lot to it. Everything went very well. I do plan on closing up right now, because the regular Flerken, you would put the motor mount here in the rear, which I still have. I probably will never put a motor back here. I don't see a reason to do that. It's going to have two motors already. So again, for me, I don't see a reason to. So most likely I'm going to cut some foam and cover this up, just making sure this hatch can still open in the back here. That's the other thing, the tab that holds this hatch on. Hot glue, it works, but I'm not really that happy with the way this attaches, so I may try to see if I can come up with something that works a little bit better for me in the future. If you do the build, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And then our wiring for our control surfaces and all of that kind of stuff. I did want to be able to make some adjustments. I wanted to be able to make some manual trim adjustments to the control surfaces. Currently, what I'm actually going to do for any adjustments that I need to make for my control surfaces is each side is actually on a separate channel. So instead of using a Y harness for my ailerons on this plane, I just decided to put both of them on a separate channel. That way I can do some fine tuning in the radio to the control surface and get them basically level and perfect where I need them, and not have to worry about putting another control or push rod in there. But again, I've had a fantastic time building this guy. I absolutely love it. It's really cool. I'm actually thinking that in the future I may decide to buy another kit and build another one. We'll see how well this one flies. And it may be something that I do on a regular basis, build Flerkens. Because, again, what I like to do is I like to get really good at one particular thing, and by continuing to repeat that process and make that process better. In the future, I may decide to go with a bit different motor to make it a little bit more powerful. It did come with the props. Three bladed props, so I'm gonna have to make sure I have the clearance when I put the motor mounts on. I may be cutting my bullets off and go ahead and putting them directly onto the soldering them directly onto the ESC, so I don't have to worry about that jitter in the motor that I was experiencing based on it having a short. Now I'm testing this motor, and this motor is set up and connected. I actually have heat shrink holding these connectors together, and then I had to put a bullet onto the wires here. I think I'm going to take all the bullets off and solder them directly into my ESC, but for now this is what I have. Now to test it, I'm using this servo tester, and this is connected to the out side for the ESC, and then we connect our battery. This battery is not fully charged. I'm just using it for testing purposes. We made sure our essentially our adjustment was all the way down, and turn it. And so we do have, now that's one of the issues that I'm having. See, right now it seems to be working okay, but essentially that problem is because it's a short. It's actually one of these is not making connection the way it should. So I'm thinking about cutting these off and just doing a direct connection from the ESC wire directly to the wire for the motor. And then hopefully that will take care of that issue and we won't have that problem anymore. Other than that, like I said, it's been phenomenal building this plane. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm really, really looking forward to getting it out and doing the maiden flight on it. I am taking a look. I may try to do a little bit of sanding and I'm going to primer this guy gray. Most likely, I may not put any other color on it. I think I'm going to start with the bottom, primer in it gray. I may put I will be putting some vinyl on it. I haven't come up with the design for the vinyl that I want to use yet, but I plan on putting some vinyl on it. And again, we're going to do a little bit of paint here or there and see what we can get going on it, and try to really get this guy looking nice. And again, take it out for its maiden flight sometime in the near future. So thank you so much for coming by and checking this out. I hope that I've given you something. The build, like I said, went pretty well. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I did have to go in and change. So my servos are not the correct size, essentially, for the space that is cut in the spar for the servos. So I had to do some modifications there and fix that. Other than that, I'm trying to think. I don't think there's any other modifications that I had to make in order to get things to work the way I needed them to. I'm pretty sure everything else went together well. I did make a modification. I did make one other modification. So let's take the nose off real quick. So one of the things that I did when I put this together, and I noticed this, the wiring, if you do not trim this front piece on either side, your wiring for your wiring harness to come out for your ESC and your motor is actually going to sit on the outside of that, and it may keep your nose from being able to slide on flush. The reason mine can now is because I went in with an X-Acto and I cut a groove out of the front here just to make sure I had a channel for those wires to run through. And I do not believe at this point I will put a gyro in this plane. I'm pretty sure I'm just going to fly it the way it is. I think I can handle it. But like I said, it's been a pleasure building this. I actually do really enjoy building these planes, especially out of foam. It's just so accessible and so easy. It's been so much fun, and again, I'm looking forward to taking it out and flying it very soon. So thank you so much for coming by and hanging out with me today, and let me share with you my build experience with this plane. And we're going to get the finishing touches done to it, hopefully, again, when we go out to take it out for its maiden. So thank you again so much for coming by and checking this guy out with me. I really appreciate it. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you in a maiden video.
Yet.